See him.
Hello, hello.
Hello, sir.
Testing. Hey, Tom, what's going on, man? How are you?
I am very, very well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. I guess I went to
Oh,
the wrong meeting link. That's my bad.
no worries at all. How are you? And
I'm good,
whereabouts
man.
are you?
Happy Monday.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whereabouts in the US are you?
So I'm close to Miami, about 30 minutes north of Miami in Florida.
Nice.
How
How
about
is that
you?
out there at the moment?
It's good, man. It's COVID slowed down a little bit where in my area, so that's good. But I mean, we've been quarantining since like March, so uh, we've been good. Can't complain. How about you?
God. Yeah, doing okay. I'm just at my parents' place. We've got like a slightly subpar setup as what I usually have back at home in the office, etc. So we've got no camera, no lighting, no
No worries.
no dual screen setup, so purely laptop and headphones for this one. But yeah, we're doing okay. Got a nice break with the kids, and there might be the occasional scream from outside the door, but yeah, we're all,
Okay, good, good.
we're all
My
good.
son is
From
he's here
from
with
one
me.
dad to another, I think you know how that goes down.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I do.
Nice. Like, yeah, so just wanted to do a quick intro. I'll let you do that in a sec. But I wanted to talk to John today just because I think John kind of sits in the sweet spot of where a lot of people are in this space. So you kind of intersect the world of building things for yourself, having like a personal brand, having an agency, and having kind of the chops to build things for other people, and also then building some side projects about that kind of sits in the sweet spot of what's one meaningful to you and two useful for other people. Is that like a fair statement to make?
That's actually probably one of the best I've heard.
Nice.
That's perfect, man.
Nice. Yeah, so we basically see at Makerpad, we see kind of a lot of people kind of going down this road where they get introduced to building things themselves, maybe kind of start building with Webflow and then actually have some like really good like design skills or building skills in a certain app. And then they start building for other people and then they start teaching a bit and they start like, developing their presence a bit. So I think when I saw you, I was like, okay, yeah, I need to talk to this guy because I think you've got some cool stuff to share. So
Thank
do
you for
you
the
want to kind of
opportunity.
just add a bit to that and just give your intro?
Sure, absolutely. So me, I'm a web designer. I'm a creative. I love the creative process, and then I'm also almost a digital marketing strategist. So I actually started about 12 years ago working at an agency, became marketing director there, and I was doing a lot of HTML, CSS, and then also SEO and Facebook ads as well. So I was able to kind of cultivate these skills and manage a team. And a lot of these things were in their infancy, like Facebook ads and SEO. A lot of those things were newer concepts, and we dealt with a lot of automotive clients. And so I left that agency and started 54 Digital 6 years ago, which was my agency. And we're completely remote. A lot of agencies laughed at me when I said, we're going to be remote. They were like, well, you need an office, you need this. And I just thought it would be better to hire great people and be able to allocate those funds to people working on their own terms. And so we were able to do some really high quality projects in doing that. And as you can see, I'm in the home office, and so the transition this year wasn't too difficult because we were already remote, right? So we're already using task management systems, and we already have an ecosystem that's completely digital and remote based. So when I started 54 Digital, we were doing kind of all these advertising services. In the last 2.5 years, we really owned in on two things: web design, brand identity, and that's pretty much what we do as an agency. And we were able to grow exponentially by owning in on that and really focusing on creating the operating procedures. And so with 54 Digital, it's almost the catalyst for everything else. That's the main agency. And then we service clients. And then we also build our own projects and our own side projects, like you said, and we kind of filter those into the agency almost as clients, if that makes sense. So if I have an idea and I think a concept will work well and I vetted it to the community, then us as a team will build it based on our operating procedures.
That's awesome. That's great to hear because I love the fact that you've kind of gone wide to go narrow, and I think that's something which is common when people make the transition from working for somebody else to then doing their own thing. So I had it myself. when I had my agency before I joined Makerpad was when I'd left from like a full-time employed position to just like trying to make it work for myself. And it was actually when my twins were coming, I was like, I'm just
Wow.
going to do anything that I need to do to have enough money to stay like remote and like have my own hours and stuff. So it's kind of, yeah, did you need an app building? Fine. Do you need a website? Done. Done. Do you need like some automations? Done. So it's whatever it takes. And then we kind of like, once you get those recommendations in, you start building like a client base, and you can kind of like focus in a bit more. But yeah, like you said, you've been going 5 or 6 years. It does take a little bit of time to actually get to that point where you can focus down. Is that what you found?
Yeah, I'm glad that we started kind of as full service because I was able to learn a lot of the processes within these different service sets. So that was helpful because I was able to get trained. I'm Google Analytics certified. I was SEO certified. I had these different Google certifications. But for me, I've always wanted to marry the creative side and the also like the strategy side. And I feel like web design is like that perfect marriage of what I love. And then when I found out about Webflow, dude, it was a game changer because at first, you hear about Webflow, you're like, oh, it's just a website builder like Wix or Squarespace, it's fine. And I'm like, I just kept hearing about it. And then I had seen Rand Siegel, he posted like a video and I started watching like Flux and I was like, this thing might be pretty cool. And I built my first site and then I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like you can build really high quality websites. I mean, it integrates well with Zaps. I mean, listen, it's a phenomenal platform. And so and we were doing before that, we were doing a lot of custom work in WordPress using Oxygen or Divi or different, WYSIWYGs to kind of
Yep.
integrate into these websites. So once we started to own in on web design and branding, that's when I was like, I just started to light up again. Because after a while, man, I was just kind of getting burned out. And a lot of times when you're doing too many services, you're spreading yourself too thin. And it's hard to create a defined process for that. So with web design and branding, we have everything like down to the T, from onboarding a client to the design process to the development process. Everything is just streamlined. So every client's different, right? We do a different competitive analysis, but ultimately the process for everything is the same. So it doesn't really change from client to client.
Got it. So let's talk about Webflow specifically, because I know we're going to have a lot of Webflow users or people who are kind of exploring
Yes.
Webflow, and they always like to know kind of the differences and why it appeals to different people. So from your point of view, from a designer's eyes, Webflow will appeal slightly differently than it does for me, who's more like an integrations and automations guy. So I see the CMS and be able to like trigger different things based off of things that happen and then dynamically insert stuff and create pages, whereas it's equally as powerful on the design side. So what was the thing that made you kind of switch or start switching all of your projects over to Webflow from being like a WordPress guy?
So one, I do want to say that WordPress is a phenomenal CMS. I mean, I grew up on it. That's what really got me designing websites. And, over the years, it's open source, right? So there's so many resources and things for it, which ultimately helped in that transition. Because one issue we had with WordPress was all the plugins, right? You have 25, 30 different plugins that do all these different things, and it just bloats the site. Now, a good WordPress developer can get a site to perform well. But ultimately, with Webflow, the process is just easier, right? From ideation to design to development, the process is just a lot shorter. And for me, it was really being able to create beautiful websites without a lot of bloat, a lot of heavy design. I mean, a lot of folks don't know this, but Webflow is, hosted by AWS. So it's lightning fast. And yeah, you're going to pay a little bit more, but you're paying more for a premium product, right? You have your SSL already covered. You don't have to worry about necessarily 15, 20 different plugins because you can integrate with Zapier or MemberStack. And you don't need a ton of other resources or tools in order to compensate for that. So for me, it was an easier transition just because I was able to have more control without having to put in as much effort like I did with WordPress. And then I loved the custom CMS. So we add CMS for authors, for blogs, for categories. It's just really easy to definitively do that. And so, I just went crazy once I got the hang of it, and I had taken the university courses that they had. And yeah, man, it's just been an awesome experience.
If anybody's in the chat who is kind of looking at Webflow or is like a deep user of Webflows, like I know some of you are, while we kind of carry on talking about this, let us know in the chat what your favorite part of Webflow is, because I know people approach it from different sides. So let us know in the chat.
Oh man, that's a good question. I'd
The
say,
yeah, sorry, go on.
oh yeah, I just say how clean the code is. You know, if you export the Webflow code, it's literally just HTML, CSS, JavaScript. It's like super clean. It's semantic. As you're building your site, it's generating clean code. I mean, that process alone is worth its price and admission. So even if you have someone that's skilled in
That's
WordPress and doesn't
interesting.
necessarily want to use Webflow, they can literally build in Webflow, export the code, and then import it. You know, using like a third party like Udesly or build it themselves.
So have you seen that useful for you, or have you seen that useful for your clients, as in terms of being able to sell the project and being able to either like hand it off to a potential a team with technical staff in it?
Yeah, it's actually been it's been easier because the way we built it out is we try to have a CMS for a lot of different things on the site. Because as you
Okay.
know, you have the designer and you have the editor. The designer being more of the back end design and being able to manipulate the way the website looks, and the editor
Mm-hmm.
just being like top level, being able to edit just you know, text and images. So by adding like additional layers of CMS, it's just easier to edit. And then, you know, we create internal training for our clients. So we say, so we have a 5-minute video on, hey, here's how to use Webflow, or hey, here's how to change the blog or update the blog. That
Nice.
way, you
Do
know,
you
we
do that
have
in
those.
Webflow?
No, we do like we use like, yeah, I do it in Webflow, but it's actually a good idea to have like a training in Webflow. I can, you know, there's tons of templates that I can use to do that. That's a good idea, man. But
I know
ultimately, we have like
Mackenzie does it. Do you know
yeah,
Mackenzie
yeah,
Child? He's great at doing that. He builds like all of his stuff in Webflow.
yes.
I know we did a chat with him before, and he built his like talk or conversation, like talking points in Webflow. I'm like, God
Yeah. Oh, I love that. We're building
damn.
training guidelines. We're building case study templates that we're gonna put free for clonables on Webflow in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, man, I love that.
Nice. So let's talk about like projects you've built. So there's some obviously listed in your Twitter profile, which seem like both passion projects, and your personal website is obviously seems like I think it's done in Webflow. Is that right?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Seems like really clean, like serves like obviously like the brand comes through, and being like not a design guy, I look at like websites like yours and other people who can actually bring that across really well. I'm just amazed by it.
Oh, thank
Um,
you. Appreciate
so
that.
before we dive through those, Clean said an example of some of the good stuff on Webflow. The login page with WordPress, you have to jump through so many hoops to brand the login screen.
Yes.
Use a plugin, so extra work, and then you need to worry about security. With Webflow, login page is there in your blank project, and you create your styles. They flow through your login page.
That's a great point. With WordPress, there's just a lot of security issues. It's open source. It's been around a long time. A majority of like local SMBs run on WordPress, so it's, you know, you're liable to malware and people trying to get into the back end. I've seen it happen tons of times. But yeah, no, that's true,
Nice.
100%.
And have you found it easy to kind of transition clients and internal staff to be able to use Webflow easier than other previous platforms?
Yes. So one example being just uploading content, also kind of teaching clients how to use it. WordPress is pretty user friendly as well on the dashboard, but Webflow is just, you know, another layer because it's literally like you log in, you're in real time on the site, you can make changes on the front end. You don't necessarily have to go, you don't even have to go into the designer, you know, to make changes. So it's really easy for clients. And then with us, what we try to do, especially as a web design agency, a lot of agencies suffer from not creating recurring income. So we always
Mm.
offer in the initial meeting with the client, like, hey, we'll do your website, and then just keep in mind, we can host it for you and we'll manage it for you. And then what we do is we have a specific Webflow package where we manage the site for them. Now, and we all know that with Webflow, you don't really have to do much work month to month. But ultimately, what we'll do is we'll say, hey, we'll add 1 to 2 case studies to your website a month. We'll update the blog once or twice a month. And so we add that additional layer. So that way we can create recurring revenue streams with web design. And then, you know, with Webflow, man, it's literally set up client billing and it's ready to go.
And the great thing about that is I still don't think many people understand like how easy it is to update a site once you've created your template page. So, because I think so many people are used to even with builders, manually creating every page that you have, rather than just having like your CMS template page, and then you can just spin up pages or entries or blog posts or listings or whatever you need to
Exactly.
in minutes. So what seems like, say if you said, okay, we're going to update your website with 10 pieces of content every month, they'd be like, whoa, that's a lot. But really, it's just 10 entries into a CMS, which doesn't take long. It must be
Exactly.
10 times quicker than I think, at least. Do
Oh,
more.
exactly. It's crazy, man. It's so easy and it's so quick to use. I mean, most of our staff I've trained on Webflow, and they go in, they add all the blogs, Illustrator Hub. We have someone that uploads all the entries, and it's just really, really easy to do.
Nice. Let's do that. Let's dive into Illustrator Hub, because this is one of the projects which I thought
Yeah, let's
was
do it.
awesome. And this kind of, again, like hits on your like design skills as well. So yeah, let's hop into that. Do you want to do a screen share your side?
Yeah, I could do that. I have a dual screen. Is it okay if I look away from the
Absolutely.
screen?
I'm
Okay,
ready.
cool, cool. Yeah, so you want me to just show like the
Yeah,
design?
let's dive through any projects you have. I know the Illustrator Hub was really cool. You can
Yeah, let's
talk
do
through
it.
your personal site and how you thought about that. If you've got any questions in the chat as well, just fire them in the chat or in the Q&A tab, and I'll get them.
Yeah, feel free.
Done.
I'm gonna close out these windows because I just ordered a new MacBook. I'm just waiting for it to come in. So this one
Nice.
is, here we go. Let me go ahead and share my screen.
I actually
So,
just moved my main setup at home over to a PC for streaming reasons. So
oh, nice. Gotcha.
yeah, gone to the dark side.
Gotcha. All right, let me do this. Okay, can you see can you see my screen okay?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So let me jump into Illustrator Hub. So yeah, so Illustrator Hub, I built this because we have a platform called blackillustrations.com, which is a
Mhm.
website where folks can download illustrations featuring people of color. Just because I launched this in about April. I saw the market for it because as a designer, I just didn't see a lot of diverse illustrations. You know, there are a few out there, but again, when you saw Black people, for example, they just didn't have the right hair texture or the right body styles, and I just felt like it was something that was needed. So we launched that in April, and then we were getting an influx of people looking for custom illustrations. And so I was like, you know, a lot of people are looking for more diverse designers that they can leverage for different jobs. And so I was
Mm.
like, all right, well, let's launch our own.
Nice.
So Q, everybody can see Illustrator Hub here is you can hire talented Black illustrators for your next project. So if you're looking for something, you know, you want to have a different point of view, a different worldview, you can hire someone on this platform. And so we built this essentially with our process. We usually design, I'll do like a low fidelity design in Sketch, and then we'll do a high fidelity design as well, and then we'll just build it in Webflow. So
Mhm.
again, from ideation to development is just really easy with Webflow. And so the website's simple. You know, here's all the pages here on the left-hand side. We have home, get hired, contact, thank you. And then the other tools that we use to build this out is we have Airtable, which is where we have all of our illustrators stored in a database that lives in the cloud. It's automatically updated anytime someone fills it out. Two of our virtual assistants are able to access that doc, and they're able to add new individuals to this. Again, I'm a huge fan of The Lean Startup, the book by Eric Ries, and I'm a
Yep.
big proponent of releasing an MVP, a minimum viable product. Now, this is probably not the final iteration, but ultimately we were able to get this up and out in about 2.5 weeks by following this process. So these are the main pages on the site.
Love it.
If you go here and you hit Browse Designers, it'll take you to, it'll take you to the talent, everyone that we have. So we get about 5 to 10 people per day that are signing up. Let that load up. And then we have a dynamic search integration here built, which was very easy with a platform called jetboost.io. I know a lot of your folks probably know about that. It's really, dude, it's super easy to implement, and it's great because all you need is a piece of code or a JavaScript snippet that you add to the page. And I'll show you actually what that looks like. Let's go ahead and pull it up here. All right, let's see. So I think it's
Yeah,
in
we're big fans of
yeah, boom, right
JetBoost.
here. JetBoost list wrapper right here, and then it just gives me dynamic search on here. So we added this, and this is all through the CMS, which is what I love. So we built this design, And then we made these color coded so it's easy for people to find. The user experience on here is pretty straightforward. I didn't want to add any crazy like paywalls or anything. I'm like, listen, I need to make sure that folks are getting the exposure that they need. I think this is the easiest point of entry. And there are a lot of platforms like this out there. The main differentiator with this is that you see their images, which a lot of them don't show images, just like, hey, here's the illustrator, so you don't get a sense of their style. And then it's harder to access the email. So here you got portfolio, you got their Facebook links, you got their Instagram, you got all that. So I'll show you what that looks like in the CMS. So we just have two. We have designers and then we have styles. And let me know if I'm going too fast or too slow.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's anything you want to ask as well about the CMS or anything about how John builds out any of these projects, then just fire away.
So I'll show you so these are all the designers that we have on the platform. And this is what the CMS looks like. So we capture their name. We have a slug, of course. This is crucial. A lot of, here's a big thing about Webflow that's a misconception. A lot of people think that Webflow is not great at SEO. Ultimately, I've built maybe 30 sites in Webflow and they actually rank fairly quickly. The biggest thing that a lot of folks need to do is make sure that when the site goes live, they manually submit it to the search engines. You can do that using a free tool called Search Console through Google, where essentially you just sign up, you submit your sitemap, which is most likely your website /sitemap.xml. Google instantly, well, within like 4 or 5 hours, they'll go and they'll scrape your entire website and they'll do a crawl. That way it'll index and you'll see your website start to rank within a couple of days. So anyone that's saying Webflow isn't good for SEO, it's not right. So just make sure that you have a slug that corresponds to your website. So you can see it's illustratorhub.com/black-illustrator/Justin Irabor. And then we have their short bio, job title, their image, their headshot. So essentially what happens on the website is they visit, and I'll show you, sorry if I'm jumping around a little bit. I get excited, man. I love this stuff.
No, this is good. It's always good to see like behind the scenes of how people like set up the projects. And I know people love seeing like Webflow builds because everyone sees like these beautifully designed sites and they're just like, oh, I wonder how he sets up his CMS. I wonder how he does this sort of stuff.
So an illustrator would visit this page. They put in their name, email, their job title, their bio, links to their images, all that good stuff, right? So when that happens, it automatically pushes to Airtable. Airtable is it's like a spreadsheet on steroids, basically, which most of your members probably know about already. That happens, that goes directly to Airtable. Then we have a virtual assistant go in and they manually add the person to the database. So you can see here that we have this. I could probably set up a Zap for that too. And then style, we have their portfolio link, their Facebook link, their work examples, and that's it. And so then once they do that, they publish a site, and that's all done through the editor. So the VA doesn't even touch the designer side of the site. They just go through it straight to the editor. It's added, and then we do it through the CMS. And then the second CMS we have is just for styles. And we'll probably add more as we continue and have that done. So that's pretty much an overview of
just a quick question for me. How are you using styles in the CMS?
What do you mean, like the styles of the actual like designers?
Yeah. So how are you using like styles to?
So if you go to here, I'll show you here. If you go to sorry, having a.
Or is that just like a category of type? Of
design? Exactly. It's pretty much the styles is just a category. So and then we have that organized with JetBoost.io because one thing that Webflow is working on is that search dynamic. But here you can see that all of this is linked, and then this is all controlled through the JetBoost JavaScript code snippet here, which even if someone doesn't have any knowledge of code, it'll walk you through the whole process. Here it is right here. So
I'm a big fan of the way Chris has done his onboarding through JetBoost.
Yeah, bro, it's great.
That
it
satisfying really green tick that comes off when you nail it.
Yes, it's great.
So good.
And this all loads without in real time, so you can see.
Just the real-time search and filtering is so good.
Yeah, it's great. Oh, it's actually, I'm sorry, it's not going to work on here. I have to do
you're in preview mode,
live environment, yeah. But that's kind of an overview of Illustrator Hub.
Nice. That's awesome. It's also one of those things which, if you can build stuff in Webflow, especially anything to do with like listings or like directories, and you can just combine like a Webflow plus JetBoost. It's just, it seems like easy mode, but
It
it's
is.
still something which most people just don't even know like exists.
Exists, exactly. Yeah, yeah, man. And it's not difficult to build. It ultimately comes down to the UI, right? If it's going just by looking at Google Analytics and seeing how people are browsing through the site and making it easier for them on both desktop and mobile to navigate, something like this. So we make it really simple. Even on mobile, you can get everything that you need to make an informed decision. If you want to work with one of these designers, literally click their email and you can reach out. It's that simple.
Yeah, it's also cool because Webflow kind of gives designers the powers that they usually have to hand off to developers. So now that they
Yes.
can do this, they can just have complete free reign over design, which without having to compromise on the functionality, which the developer says, "Oh no, that's too difficult."
Exactly.
So you see loads of sites built on Webflow, but the ones that are built by designers are just incredible because
It
like
stands out. Yeah,
a good design
yes.
is when you see it in its final version looks so simple, but to actually create it if you haven't got those design skills, you're just like, yeah, this is harder
That's
than
a
it
great
seems.
point.
So like a good example is like your sites or like someone like Mackenzie's sites or like the Unicorn Factory site. I don't know if you're a Unicorn Factory. It's like a freelance marketplace in New Zealand by Connor.
Yes.
People who just like the attention to detail that kind of Webflow enables is, yeah, it's great to
It's
see.
awesome. It really is.
We have a question from John in the chat. Is it possible to connect Airtable to Webflow CMS? I can answer this one. You can
Yeah.
connect the both. You're going to need to use Zapier to do it, and you can do it in like a number of ways. You could either have it where a new item gets created in the Webflow CMS and then it gets pushed over into Airtable as like a record, or you can do it the other way around where you use Airtable to input data into, and then you use that as the trigger to get fired into your Webflow CMS. So you can do it either way. We do it both depending on the use case in Makerpad. Sometimes if you want to spin up something really quick, we use like a Webflow form an Airtable form into an Airtable base and then create a live item in Webflow. That's the way. But yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's been, we set up a Zap for that also. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Zapier is great, man. It does everything for you. It really does. I was going to show you the, let's see. Sorry, I should organize these by folder, but
we've had this conversation on a few workshops
yeah, dude,
before.
I don't understand why you can't move them into folders. Like,
I think home always shows all of them, but you can have them in folders on the left.
Yeah. Okay. Here it is. So we just have Webflow form to Airtable, and then it pushes there automatically. We get a notification. So.
Yeah, there you go. Nice
Yeah.
and simple. Is anybody not familiar with Zapier in the chat? If you're not, we can kind of dive into that a little bit. Let us know. And let's move on to your personal site, because I want to touch on personal branding a bit, because I know that it's kind of a stage where people reach when they start building projects for other people and like sharing. Just see from your Twitter, like I've always been a big proponent of just share what you're working on and share what you're doing, and you'll naturally like build like an audience in whatever the thing is that you're sharing. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. And I see a lot of folks kind of naturally progressing down to like the personal brand thing and then creating their own personal website. I'm also a big proponent of everyone should have like their name as like a web address. You should have your own website, no matter what's on it, whether it's just like, this is my name, this is how you can get in contact with me. But yeah, occasionally these things like develop into something bigger, and that's clearly what's happened with yours. When did this come about in the kind of journey? Was it before you started doing your own thing and before you started your agency, or more recently?
Yeah, before I started my own agency, I wish I could probably show you in the a Wayback Machine, but my first site was johnsocial.com, which I just talked about like social media and blog content. I was in the beginning always a big proponent of provide value first. if you can provide someone with value, don't necessarily think of that intrinsic value or how much money you're going to make. Just think about putting yourself in a position to help others. And ultimately, man, your business will grow as you do that. I'm pretty introverted. So for me, that was great because I could get on camera or I can do videos or I can do content online where I can connect with an audience that I've never met. Right. And when you're providing value, real tangible value that you can use, not just like, hey, everybody needs a social media page. It's more like, hey, this is the social media template or platform that works for me. Here's a free copy. Now, I'm not saying give away everything for free, but
absolutely.
And trust me, people get at me all the time and they're like, dude, why are you giving this away for free? And it's like, sometimes, man, it just feels good, you know? So with my personal brand, I started it like when I worked at the agency, and it's continued to now. And I always tell people, especially freelancers, or if you're starting your own agency, you know, there's two tiers, right? The first tier is one, have a business that's almost like separate from your name. So instead of like, you know, Tom, is it Osman or Osman?
Osman.
Osman.
Sort of in the middle.
Got it. Okay. So Tom, tomsmarketing.com, right? It's good, but ultimately you can't, you know, you almost can't scale it outside of yourself. So it's always good to have an agency that's almost separate from your name, you know, 54 Digital, Makerpad, or having a business name separate from your name, because ultimately everyone running a business should want to hopefully scale yourself out of that business, sell it one day, or you know, get to that certain point. So that's one. Then the second one is, you know, start to build your personal brand. And when you're pushing your personal brand, you don't necessarily have to push the business, but push more so the things that you're doing and the projects that you're working on. Just like you said, be transparent. People want to see what you're working on. They want to see your mistakes. They want to see where you're doing well. And then, you know, that gives them an informed decision, enough information to make an informed decision. So with my personal brand, I was always like, I have 54 Digital, that's the web design agency. And then I have myself. And then the things tied to my individual brand are my courses, my videos, my YouTube channel, that type of thing. So this is the current site. These are essentially my 4 core businesses. Actually, this part right here is, I don't know if you know about Flowbase through Webflow, but Tom Beckers, check it out, man.
Flowbase. Oh yeah, I do. I've seen.
Yeah, Flowbase. This is a piece from Flowbase that we just literally it was a free UI kit. We took this piece from it, boom, was able to integrate it on the site.
He builds some great stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah, he releases so much stuff for free. He inspires me, man. Like the stuff that he gives away for free is insane.
Yeah.
And I'll show you guys that after too. And then we have, you know, let's connect and grow together. Then I have my product and freebies here. This is all through CMS, and I can show you the back end of that as well. And then one thing that a lot of people haven't seen in Webflow is like long form landing pages or opt-in pages, which is another kind of revenue stream that some Webflow template designers could think about as well. And then I have my YouTube videos, you know, tons of free content, my expertise, a little bit of quotes. And then this is huge, the free weekly lessons in your inbox. So if you hit join my free course, it'll take you all the way down to the bottom. Actually, let's look at that in dark mode for the hell of it, right?
Nice. Love that. I saw that the first time. That was awesome.
Thanks, man. So this is free weekly lessons in your inbox. People can join, and I do one lesson every week, and it's real tangible things you can do in your business. It's not like fluff or anything like that. So I kept my personal website simple. It's pretty much a one pager. There's only like 2 or 3 pages on this site, but it was ultimately because I want to drive traffic to these other platforms. And essentially, just like you said, Tom, you want to have your personal name because people are going to search for you, and having your name as a domain ranks really well, especially when people are looking for you specifically. And a lot of times, if you have a few pages on there, you can rank number 1.
I also think another advantage of doing it is you inherently build trust with people if you're putting your name against something. So I think if you are, you're putting your neck on the line, like this is me, like this is what I'm doing, people are like, I think people are then okay with like mistakes. I think the moment you can get happy or be happy with kind of putting yourself out there, making mistakes, like messing stuff up. Like I know, like for me, doing like live stuff, say if I mess up a time, I'm just like, I get the time wrong on a webinar. I'm just like, sorry everyone, I just got the time wrong on the webinar. My fault, completely messed up.
Happens,
like,
man.
there's my name against it, but everyone's like, oh, okay, like, yeah, mistake. Like, I make mistakes. Cool. So I think having like a publicly facing something, whether that's like a website or like an app or like a video, I think just goes like a long way, both for like a
Absolutely, man.
variety of reasons. So
Authenticity is key. You know, just being 100% yourself, and people love that. People love to see the true essence of who you are, as opposed to just a social media persona.
bit of a tangent here, but how did you kind of find a bit side topic to like, being able to like share what you're working on, what you're good at, is like actually finding what you're good at, just so you feel comfortable in sharing it? Because I think if you're pretending or sharing stuff that you don't really know about and you're not passionate about, then that like comes across like really obviously.
That's
Um,
true.
so I don't think you can't really fake it
You
until you make
can't.
it, in terms of like the personal brand side of things. So how do you actually come across this whole like building digital products and design and actually framing it in this way?
Um, you know, I guess as a kid, man, I loved Legos. I loved video games. I loved telling stories, writing stories. So I always loved to create. And the internet for me empowered me to a point where, I'm not the best artist, right? I'm okay, but it empowered me to the point where I can make these beautiful, vivid products that people enjoy. And I love it, man. It's one of those things where I tell people you don't necessarily have to be, pigeonholed into one thing. One day I want to write a screenplay or launch a video game studio. But a
Yeah.
lot of these characteristics I can pull from my design expertise into that.
Hmm.
So I think I'm going off the question,
No,
but
no,
ultimately,
that's all.
I just, I don't know, man. I think I got lucky, honestly, because I found like what I love to do. Because I know a lot of people don't get that opportunity, but I tried a lot of different things, and this is what I love, man.
Yeah, I think that's key. I think there's a tweet going around that someone was saying about like you must stay in a job for X amount of years, and I was
Yeah.
completely the opposite. I kept changing jobs, whether it's like leaving or getting fired, until I found something that I actually really enjoy doing. And I think if I'd have stuck it out,
Dude, life is too short, man, to not do what you want to do and do what you
100%.
love. And I know it's harder, man. You're a dad. I'm a dad. I get it. Like, you can't just like stop everything you're doing, and we can't like move to the Maldives and just like I mean, technically we could if we really wanted to, but you get my drift, right? It's we
Absolutely.
have certain responsibilities, but I think that the internet has empowered us to a certain degree where you can
Mhm.
basically do what you want. It just takes upfront work and just figuring that out.
Absolutely. So another topic I wanted to touch on is like the larger no code space in general. So one of the paths that people go down, especially for people joining Makerpad, is they come in like with like an idea in mind. That could be, say, I want to build a mobile app, or I want to learn how to build a website using Webflow, or I want to use, like, I heard Airtable is quite cool. What can we do with Airtable? And then you start off learning this one tool, and then you kind of like splinter off into like different tangents. You start like, you discover Zapier and you tie it in with another app. How how do you feel about the whole like no code space? Because obviously you started like a Webflow guy, but also you're using Zapier, you're using Airtable, you're using like a variety of other tools, and you're working like fully remote. So by that definition, you're probably using like something like Slack to communicate. You're probably using some like real time like storyboarding tools like Miro or something jazzy like that. You're obviously using Sketch, which you mentioned. How are you feeling about that entire space in general?
I think it's great, man. We're always going to need software developers and true code developers, because some things are just to a certain point that you it has to be required, right? But I think no code empowers a lot of people that don't necessarily want to go back and learn all these high value skills in regards to software development and code, and it makes it so that it empowers more people to get their creative ideas out there. I think that if I'm thinking of an idea and I want to launch it, I'm going to be more prone to say, yeah, let's do it, as opposed to say, okay, God, I got to hire a developer who's, it's going to cost a lot. It makes the point of entry a lot easier. And I'm not saying that that's going away, because I truly believe that with Webflow, with a lot of these no code tools, you can launch a product and have an MVP and have a solid product that can last you 2, 3, 4, 5 years, right? But
Hmm.
let's say you fail to a certain degree and you can no longer handle that. Well, that's the least of your worries now, because now you can do a completely custom platform. But it didn't hinder you from starting because you had all these no code tools. So for me, man, it's phenomenal. It's been life changing. I'm able to live the lifestyle that I want to, and it's all because of, you know, using these tools and being able to marry them together for a great product that people love.
Absolutely. If there's any tools that anyone wants to hear John's opinion on, maybe if it's from the design side or just no code in general, pop them into chat and we can discuss.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm ready.
Yeah, far away. So do you play with new tools that come up, and has there been any like on the design side that have truly been like game changing? I know, for instance, a lot of people like Figma. Is there anything that's coming up in that side of things?
Figma is awesome, man. We use XD a lot. So we still use Sketch to a certain degree, but we've really segued to XD because it has prototyping and you can add in the interactions, just makes it a lot easier.
Okay.
We use InVision. I'm looking at the tool list right now. Let's see. Airtable, of course, is super awesome, man, for like high level spreadsheets and integration. We're actually building a custom job pool in Airtable using Webflow. So I can give you guys a little preview of that. And regarding tools, man, I use a ton. There's a ton of really cool, like smaller tools, nothing like groundbreaking recently. The most recent one for me was Webflow about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, that really, changed my entire business essentially. But otherwise, man, I haven't seen anything too crazy. I'm looking at my my tool list right now. And
which are the ones you use every day?
Every day? So every day, let me break it down. So Asana for task management, Slack for team communication. We use, I'm going down here, Zoom, Google Meet, those are the normal ones. Google Chrome, of course. And then we have a ton of extensions that we like. Loom, Loom. I don't know if you've used Loom before, but that's for like screen cap videos. We use that for all of our standard operating procedures. Google Drive, Google Analytics. And one tool I really love, or kind of two, Wappalizer and Build With. So I'm able to essentially just scrapes the data of a website and tells you like all the software and things that they're using. And then I think, LastPass I use every day, which is our password vault for all of our team members. And then Hunter, which is an email hunter app that we use to scrape websites.
Hunter is, I don't know why, but the Chrome extension is extremely overpowered. It's so good. Like, because you could almost use it without signing up for an account, and it seems like it just gives you, obviously if you sign up for like an account and you use the actual site, you could like put out more info, but 9 times out of 10, just clicking the Hunter Chrome extension gives you exactly the information you want and like no more. It just pulls out like the perfect address.
It's perfect, man. It's great. And that's what it's about, man. The best experiences are simple ones.
Yeah. Some really good tools that we use, Loom, like a load. I think it's like a creepily. It's like a tool that's kind of creeping over. I think it seems really simple, but I think they're going to be building a giant business for that.
Oh yeah, dude, it's nuts, man. It's like, another tool, Calendly. I don't know if you use Calendly, but that's another big tool. I feel like Calendly and Loom are like secretly building billion-dollar companies, and they're just like super low key. You don't really hear much from them. They're just kind of like.
Well, it's like when Honey popped up, and someone bought Honey. We're like, they paid how much for a Chrome extension? But yeah, Chrome extensions are really interesting, just because no one uninstalls them. So I think building a good Chrome extension, you can get sneaky good business for those. There's one other thing. So you've got a couple of questions, and I've got one last topic I wanted to cover with you.
Yeah, of course.
Mike has asked, any tools you use to build prototype apps? Webflow is great for sites, but curious what you're experimenting with for applications.
We use InVision mostly to build them out, build our prototypes. We're probably going to segue everything to Adobe XD because we have Creative Suite, so we use Illustrator, Photoshop. But right now we're using InVision for prototyping. So we use it for mobile apps, all that good stuff.
Nice. So Adam, not directly related, but what browser extensions do you rely on and find helpful? Yeah, I think we dived into those.
Oh man. Oh, what? Actually, I could probably do a screenshot on this one. You guys will like this.
Okay, let's do that quick.
All right. So, you might hear kiddo in the background too. I think he just came
all
up.
Good. I've got several running around the house.
So first one is Wappalizer, which will pull the aggregate data of everything used on that website So you can see that I'm on my personal website. You got Lua, which is the programming language that Webflow is built in. You got Webflow, JavaScript libraries, Google Analytics, all that good stuff. And then you have keywords everywhere. So keywords everywhere is more of a search tool. So if we do Webflow templates, right? Or Webflow, I'm just gonna do Webflow. It'll give you semantic search data in the browser, in a live set. So you can see Webflow, right? Let me zoom in so you guys can see it. So right under the search bar, you see where it says volume. So this keyword gets about 201,000 searches per month. CPC is 20 cents. So that means if you were to do a pay-per-click ad on, say, Google AdWords, it would cost you about 20 cents. Right now, competition is 0.15. So that's really low competition. Competition maxes out at 1. So ultimately, this would be a low-cost keyword. I could pay 30 cents and I can rank like up here. So just, if anyone's a Webflow designer or developer, you throw your ad up here, you'll get tons of queries. I hope Webflow doesn't get mad at me over that. But,
yeah, right. How does
and then on the bottom right, it'll tell you the search volume of related keywords. So really, really great Chrome extension. Gives you a bird's eye view. This is how I get ideas for some other side projects and some of the businesses that I've sold over the last few years.
How does no code rank as a search term?
Let's
see how that's been trending.
No code. Oh, look, no code and tied to Webflow. That's good. And that's a good thing on Webflow because you can actually empower Webflow a lot with JavaScript and different attributes, but them going that no code route is great because it can pull a lot of designers into the platform. That gets 14,000
It's also a good way to
searches.
find like new tools as well. So the top result, people usually pay like quite a lot for a short period of time to kind of just like boost that initial launch period.
You see bubbles up there. I've heard like things about Bubble.
No code business out. I know like Uncork, obviously they've got Makerpad. Nice. Yeah, that's really interesting.
And then we can see this. Let's see. No code tools gets 880 searches a month. VoiceFlow, don't know what that. Oh, look. Boom. Makerpad, baby. Your related search, man. That's great.
Good to see it.
That's good stuff, man. And you can see, like, it'll show you, like, I'll show you this all time. Look at this. So in 2004, you were getting about 7,100. Now you're getting about 15,000. So it's becoming a movement. Also, keep in mind that this aggregate data can be a little old. So we might be 2-3 months behind the true numbers.
Interesting.
So that's another one. Facebook Pixel is just another one to make sure Facebook Pixel is installed. If I go here, it should come up here. I don't know why it's doing that. And then you have, of course, what font, which will tell you what font is on that website. Poppin's probably one of my favorite fonts. Google font as well, so free for commercial and personal use. Then we have, what is this? Oh, Pocket. So Pocket saves articles that you can read later. And then you can actually have it read it back to you. So I just save articles and I read them back later. HubSpot
I love the fact you can save them and then listen to the article.
Yeah, exactly. LastPass, which is our password vault. Then Hunter, which will hunt the emails on a website. You can see, boom, it pulled up my email in like a millisecond. And then this is one I like too. It's called Go Full Page.
Love this
take
one.
A snapshot of a full page. We use this a lot in our mood boards, or if we're looking at competitor websites and we want to use elements or get it inspired by different sites. It'll pull it.
I've used this to build like a directory site. So if I'm building like a listing site, I will have like a workflow tied to Go Full Page. So when I save the Go Full Page, it will like then upload into like a Webflow CMS, and then
nice.
It will like save as the image, so you can then just scroll it on the page.
Oh, that's dope. I like that.
So,
we definitely have to talk about some of these things you're working on.
Automations I could speak all day about some of the ones we built. So I wanted to just like ask, we've got 6 minutes left. So if there's any other questions you want to ask, put them into chat and we'll get them asked. Got some crying children outside. But yeah, the last one is standard operating procedures, or SOPs. So we found this like increasingly important while we're like scaling up Makerpad and bringing on more members of the team, because everyone's kind of building their own stuff. But it's important for obviously everybody else in the team to know how that works, and it's going to go through that whole process across the entire business. So you mentioned it a couple of times, it's obviously in your Twitter. So it's obviously really important for you, even more so if you're an entirely remote team. How's this changed your business?
Oh, it's definitely helped us scale. We went from working on 2 to 3 projects to 8 to 10. we're able to do a lot with a small team. And that's the biggest thing. I'm not trying to have like this big conglomerate agency. We do really well and we do well at where we're at. And we're able to work with really great clients, and SOPs have essentially pulled me out of the day-to-day stuff and more so big picture. So before, I'm writing HTML, I'm doing CSS, I'm designing, I'm developing. Now I'm more so a project manager. So I'm overseeing our entire team and working on these projects at a almost like a bird's eye view. So we have like a master doc of all of our SOPs within the agency. And then we basically, everyone has their specific tasks and their assignments. So I'll show you one, since we're talking about Webflow. You know, we have one that's called Intro to Webflow. So when we onboard a client and we're getting ready to offboard or offload the website, I'll send them this training and I'll say, hey, here's how to add a user to Webflow. Here's how to access Webflow to make changes. Here's how to make edits easy. And they can run through this training. And so with every training that we have it both in step-by-step format, but then we also have the training video. So it adds another element of making it easier for them to be able to go in, do the video, but then look at the step-by-step to always correspond to it. And ultimately, this has helped a lot in regards to mitigating mistakes, because people are, team members are literally going through the step-by-step process. And then everything you see here is itemized in Asana. And so if you look at the training, for example, on the left-hand side, you have the actual training. And on the right-hand side, I still have the directions up in the video. Nice. So they're able to go through it step by step. And so we have, probably, 80 to 100 videos. And I create a few every week for different things that we need to automate and or delegate. It's not really automation, but ultimately that's how it's done. I know we're getting, my bad. I kind of went on a tangent.
No, that's great. I think you could probably dedicate like a whole session to this, because as everyone's remote, everyone wants to. Back in the day, it used to be like, how many people do you employ? And that was like the benchmark of how well you're doing at business. Like, we've got 1,000 people. It's like, God, great. That sounds like a real big headache. So like now, it's like, how much can you get done like with a small team? So we are like we're 4 full-time people in Makerpad, and then like a few people like part-time and stuff. And we're growing. But to make sure that we can grow and you don't need to get bogged down in the weeds, we automate what we can, and then we create SOPs what we can as well. So yeah, we can lean on both sides. Like you mentioned, use VAs. We lean on the VA for some stuff. We lean on automations for the other stuff. So to wrap up, there's a couple of tools which I don't know if you know about, which may be interesting to you. First one is Process Street. If anybody's looking at like a good way to, isn't like an ad or anything, but I just think it's a really cool product. Process Street is a really good product to actually do these SOPs and checklists and templates really easily.
Process Street?
Process.street, .st, sorry. So basically you create your SOP and you create it as like a template, and then when someone wants to execute on that, they can just like create a new version of it, and then you go through the checklist, check it off, and it says this person's completed this at this time.
Oh, nice.
It's like a really, just spurned out of this like need for standard.
I'll definitely check this out today.
Really useful tool. Like multiple team members, and it's great, because I know that managing them is quite tricky, especially so like we've got like 136 automations running Makerpad, so like logging what's going on and all of those stuff is tricky. So that's a good one. And the other one, which is new and it's still being developed pretty quickly, is one called Cursive Scribe. Cursive.io/scribe. I'm going to put it in the chat for everybody. This is one I love. This basically lets you auto-generate step-by-step guides just by clicking. So so you basically do you activate it. So if you go cursive.io/scribe, there you go, yeah. So all you have to do is you toggle the app, and then you do the thing, and it creates like PDFs with where you've clicked, the screenshot of where you clicked, and then outputs it as a PDF or onto a live site.
That's super smart. Wow.
So yeah, these are two things which can kind of get you moving down the creating SOP route nice and quickly, just because it's one of those things that are really, really valuable to a business, but are like quite time consuming to do, to say the least.
It is, man. I've spent hours on SOPs.
But unless you want to spend hundreds of hours showing people how to do the same thing over and over again, you need to do them. It's the same thing with automations. Like we do everything like manually, like once or twice to figure out the best way of doing it, and then we automate if we can, and then if not, we kind of create the SOP and delegate that.
Exactly.
If we can.
Thank you.
Nice. So yeah,
I appreciate these. I'm gonna check these out this afternoon.
Yeah, nice. They're really good. I like them a lot. Because it kind of takes that manual side out of it.
Nice.
And also you can kind of get other people to create SOPs for you. If you just wanted to
Exactly.
say like a request for an SOP on like how to, I don't know, do some niche functionality in Webflow, someone can just log in, they can do it in cursive scribe and send it to you. You know, it's going to be templated like exactly how you want it.
Wow, I wish I had this idea. That's brilliant.
Yeah, they're clever people. Cool. Wow. So we've just buzzed through an hour there really quickly. I think.
Right, that flew by, man.
I think you could probably schedule another couple of sessions in to dive into some of the stuff we touched on, maybe glossed over. But yeah, that was
good to me.
That was awesome. Thanks for showing us around your setups, diving into how you think about things. It's great to meet you. If anybody else has got any final questions you want to ask, we can sign off. But yeah, I really, really appreciate your time and love to see behind the scenes and how you set stuff up.
Oh, no worries, Tom. Anything you need, man, let me know. And I'm happy to jump on again if you guys want, if your audience wants me back.
Where's the best place to get in touch? Where are you most active? I know you're pretty active on Twitter.
Man, email, call, text, social media. I'm anywhere you prefer.
Anywhere. Nice. Well, I'll let you go. Everybody have a good week. Hope you enjoyed the conversation.
No, this was great, man. Thank you for the opportunity.
No, thanks for
listening. I talk about this all day, man. I could go another 3 hours.
yeah, exactly. I could, but I think I'll probably get a shout at that.
All right, man. You have a great one.
I'll get this uploaded pretty soon, and yeah, we'll definitely be speaking again soon.
All right, sounds good, brother. Have a good week.
Thanks, John. See you later. See you, everybody. Bye.
Bye.